Welcome back everyone, my name is Lee from Lewis's Kitchen. Today we're going to make the best fried chicken I have ever made. That is so good. So I felt like some fried chicken today, and I'm not the person that usually go out and get some KFC or something like that while I'm at home. So I actually rather cook it myself and try and recreate and change up recipes and find what I like. So today I'm going to make a fried chicken recipe that I've made before and I actually quite like. So this recipe is from the Brown Girl's Kitchen and that's on YouTube as well. And I've cooked this before. It's actually a pretty good recipe. I'm going to tweak it just a little bit, but I'll link down their recipe just down below so that you can take a look at it as well. So usually when I make fried chicken, I usually cheat and I just buy a chicken Maryland and cut that in half, so I've got the thigh and the drumstick. But when I was looking at the prices, Maryland's actually gotten a bit pricey, and I found that I could get a whole chicken for 10 bucks, and I'm gonna portion it up so you get all that extra stuff. So you've got the breast on the bone and the skin, and then all those other parts as well. So we're gonna cut this up and we're gonna make some fried chicken. So I've just taken the chicken out of the packet and we're just gonna wipe it down. This is just gonna make it easier for us to actually cut up. This isn't like a huge chicken, so this is gonna do about 8 pieces. If you did maybe a family chicken that was a lot more plumper, you could probably get maybe 10 or 12 pieces out of it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just remove this joiner, and then we're going to turn it over, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut out the backbone. So the backbone runs just along here, and so we're going to take that out, and it's going to make it a lot easier for us to actually cut up the rest of it. So for this I'm going to use some kitchen scissors, like so. Just go straight through it. So now that's going to make it a lot easier for us to cut through the actual cutlery that holds onto the chicken breast. So now for that we're just going to use a sharp knife, and you can see this white part here. That's where the chicken breast is. So we're just going to cut between that and the breast will stay incredibly moist while it's actually being fried. So now I'm going to detach the Maryland from the breast. One there. And also this bum flap here. This bum flap here, we can just cut that off as well. It's not needed. You feel the bone at about here. So what I'm going to do is just go straight through it. There we go. So we've got our 2 Marylands, and we're going to turn this into a drumstick and a thigh. And there's our drumstick, and there's our thigh. Again, just through where it actually joins that chicken, drumstick and a thigh. Now, with the actual breast, you could, depending on how huge this is, you could just cut this once, or you can cut it a second time, I think, because honestly, you know, if you're gonna get a wing or something, it's not that interesting, in my opinion. First of all, I'm just gonna cut these wing tips off. I honestly see there's no purpose in the wing tips, so I always cut those off. And then we want to cut this so that we still get some of that bone in the breast chicken. So I think we're going to go about here. That way you get a bit of breast as well with that with the wing as well. Just use your hand, just push down through the cartilage, and then you've still got some chicken on the bone there. And all we're going to do is we're just going to go through these, see if there's any extra fat or anything that needs to be removed, such as this. And this. Now with the skin on your drumsticks, just pull that back down. All right. Now, you could definitely put this into a stock and make something with that. I've got cats, so they're gonna have a nice snack today. And in my opinion, I probably did butcher that chicken a little bit. And that's just something that's going to come with skill. And the more you do it, the better it's going to get. So at this time, you can also set up your deep fryer. So I'm going to use deep fryers today. You can cook it in a large, deep pot, but I like the safety of a deep fryer because it's thermostatically controlled. And if it does accidentally go over temperature, there is something that's actually going to trip it and cut it out before it actually catches on fire. So that's why I use a deep fryer. I know not everyone is a fan of doing it, but you could also just fill up a pot halfway with some oil. So I'm going to be using rice bran oil, and you just want to heat that gently. So we're going to heat my fryer up to 160 degrees Celsius, and that is 320 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that seems pretty low, but you want to actually fry the chicken nice and slow and not fry it too fast, or else the butter on the outside is just going to cook before the actual chicken does. So now we're going to mix the spices. So I'm just going to read these out as we go. There is quite a few. Hopefully you've got all of these in your pantry. So half a tablespoon of dried mustard. We've got half a tablespoon of garlic powder. Half a tablespoon of onion powder, half a tablespoon of turmeric, and that just gives that a nice, really nice color to it. We've got 1.5 tablespoons of cayenne pepper, so it's going to add a little bit of a kick to it. Half a tablespoon of paprika, it's just a Hungarian paprika. We've got half a tablespoon of cumin. We've got half a tablespoon of yum yum or MSG. You can put it optional. If you don't want to use it, just replace it with salt. We've got 1.5 tablespoons of freshly ground white pepper. This took me ages to grind. Half a tablespoon of salt. Half a tablespoon of celery salt. And lastly, 1 tablespoon of sugar. So now we're just going to mix all these together. So we're going to need 2 bowls here. First one is going to have our wet mixture, and this one is going to have a dry mixture. Now, they do soak the chicken in buttermilk. The issue with buttermilk is I find that buttermilk seems to burn very quickly in a deep fry, so I'm not going to do that. I've done chicken tenders and all that a different way, and I prefer it this way, so this is the way I'm going to do it, and I'll show you how. So for the wet mixture, I'm going to be using 2 eggs. Now, if you worked at KFC, you'd know they actually don't use any sort of egg mixture or anything to coat the chicken. It's usually just flour and water. I've tried that. I find it doesn't really work. I find the crumb comes out really dense and not so nice. So I've just added a 1/4 cup of flour to that. And I've also got some homemade sriracha here. This stuff is like bum burner. It's twice as hot as normal sriracha. So I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of that. And then I'm just gonna add some soda water to this. So if you don't have soda water, you could also just use some cold water. And all we're going to do is we're just going to mix this to like a thin batter. All right, and that's all we need for that. The next step is we're going to make our flour mixture. So to this bowl, we're going to add a cup of corn flour or tapioca starch, anything like that. I would even use potato flour. I think potato flour would work beautifully with it. And then we're just going to add a cup of all-purpose flour. And then I'm just going to add just a teaspoon of baking flour. So baking powder to that. And then we're going to add our seasoning to this. So the reason why I do it in the bowl first is just so that to make sure it's all been distributed and there's no lumps in it. All right, I'm going to add that to our flour. Now, it looks like a lot of seasoning, but you got to keep in mind when you're deep frying, you need a lot of seasoning for it to all come through, because the oil does actually really mask a lot of that. So now we have covered that. Now we're going to start coating the chicken. All right, so I've got our flour, our batter, and I've got a plate here for the finished products. So I'm going to start with our drumsticks. So first we're just going to dip it into the flour. And you can do this by hand. I just don't want to get the egg mixture on my fingers. So I'm going to dip it our flour first and then into the egg mixture. Make sure that is fully coated in the egg mixture and then back into the flour. Do a couple of pieces at a time, that way you're not wasting too much time. And we just want to make sure the chicken is completely coated in that seasoning. So that's that. Let's put that one aside. Looks a little wet, just add a little bit more flour. All right, so that's all that done. Now I'm going to leave this for about 10 minutes, just let it sit there and let that seasoning and flour all set into it, and then we're going to fry. So now we're ready to fry the chicken. So as I said, I'm going to be deep frying mine in my deep fryer, and if you don't have a deep fryer, you can use a heavy saucepan. I'm going to post in a video right here just showing how to actually do it in the actual pot, because there is a few different things and there's a few different things you want to check as well. So I have a cast iron enamel pot here. It's got about 1.5 inches of oil in it, and I'm using rice bran oil. That's why it looks a little bit darker than other oils. And I'm just going to let that just gently heat up a little bit. A
Couple of tips as well. Always keep your lid out, keep it nearby, just in case you do have any boil over or anything like that, you can throw it over on it straight away. So I'm just going to let that heat up gently, and that should be ready by the time our chicken is ready. So I have an instant read thermometer here, and this just comes really in handy. I've just got it dipped in here, and it's 100 degrees, 120 degrees right now. And we want to get this up to about 160. The chicken's going to cook for about 10 minutes. So we don't want the oil to be too hot while it's frying. So once this hits 160, then we'll add the chicken and we'll monitor the temperature and just let it cook away. Alright, so this is at 170 degrees now, which is about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, it is a little bit hotter than I want it to be, but that's because when we put the chicken in, the temperature is going to drop right down. So we want it a little bit higher than we want it to be. And we're going to fry the pieces like for like. So we're going to fry the drumsticks together, and we're going to fry the other two together. This is 158 degrees. And that is 320. So that's probably about what we want, because it's going to be a long, low and slow fry. So we want to keep this cooking for about 6 minutes on each side, and then we can flip them over. So we're at that stage where we're going to flip it now. And you will see you are going to get brownie in certain spots just because the chicken's going to have contact with the bottom of the pot. That's where all the heat is, so don't be too alarmed. As the chicken starts to cook more and it starts to release its juices, it is going to follow up the oil a lot more. So just be alert when you're cooking, but not alarmed. It'll be more than fine.
Alright, so my fryer has heated up to 160 degrees, and that is 320 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to take up the lid and lift up the basket. Now, because we've portioned up these pretty much evenly, they should fry at about the same time. But what you want to do is keep those things that fry the same together. So I'm going to put our 2 wings in. So I'm going to just put these in for now. So they are pretty big-ish, and we're going to fry these at 160 degrees, 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to cook this for about, it really depends on the piece of chicken and the actual type. So if it's breast, it's probably going to take about six minutes. These take about 6 minutes. It can take up to anything up to 8 minutes, okay? So once the chicken is ready, I'll show you how they actually check it. So this has been cooking for about 6 minutes now, and you can hear that noise. That's all the water escaping out of the chicken. So you can almost tell that this chicken is actually done. But to double check, I've got a digital insert probe, and we're just going to insert that and see what we get. So for this chicken to be done, it needs to be 71 degrees Celsius, and that is 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So this one's actually reading 71.7. All right, and this one's 71 degrees as well. So these are done. So now we can take these out, and I'm just going to put these onto a plate with some paper towel on it. That already looks so good. So now I'm going to fry our fires off. And I'm also going to add our drumsticks. So I've just lowered that down so they don't stick straight away. And we're going to put our drumsticks in there as well. That should take about the same time. That will take probably around the 8-minute mark. All right, so that's our drumsticks and our thighs done. The good thing about these is you can cook them a bit longer and it's not going to really affect them too much. So I'll cook them for about 8 minutes. So those are done. So lastly, we've got our breasts, and the breasts are the ones you're going to have to watch to make sure you don't actually overcook these. I probably could have cut these in half again, but they'll be fine. So in the oil they go. And I'll probably check these after about 6 minutes, just because we want to make sure we don't actually overcook these ones, because they will dry out a bit. Alright, so I decided to leave these in for the 8 minutes. Alright, and that's well over 85 degrees. It's reading 95 degrees, so it's definitely cooked. So we're going to put these aside, let them cool down, and then we're going to try it out. Does that look amazing? I'm so excited about this. I know this chicken is going to be so good. Let's try this out. It looks so good. So I've got the breast here. That chicken, oh my God, it has so much flavor. That sriracha in the actual eggs really gives a good kick, and all that cayenne. And it's not too spicy, it's perfect for me. I'd probably lower the cayenne and sriracha if you got kids though, but oh my God, look at that chicken. Look how moist that is. And that crumb, it's just perfect. You don't need to marinate it or anything like that. You don't need buttermilk. Just those 2 steps makes it just amazing. So I'm going to be following this recipe from now on. That's so good. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a little like. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye. If you're looking for something to have with your fried chicken, give my mac and cheese a go. Doesn't that look good? I'll post the recipe there.